そして実はその次ので統一ウクライナを望む人は少数派だった。もうこれだけ分裂している国なわけですよ。政治的にも分裂しています。言語的にも分裂しています。だからこれはですね非常に難しいんですね、統一ウクライナ。2014年ユーロマイダンクーデターの時に行った世論調査では、東部南部では憲法改正なしの統一ウクライナを望む人は少数派だったと。74% は暫定大統領を非合法とみなしていた。つまり2014ユーロマイダンクーデターの後、暫定大統領となったらポロシェンコでしたね。それは非合法であると。でマイダンで虐殺が行われたわけです。それ以前はロシアとの統合を望む人というのは実は少数派だったんです。我々ここに残ってもいいんじゃないかというふうに思っていたんです。そして、ところが2024年4月 70% はウクライナの地方分権の拡大と連邦化を希望するようになってしまったというふうに変わっていったんですね。ウクライナ民族主義者と西側の支援者は全くこれいうことについて譲歩しなかった。ちなみにこのなんていうのかなこういうふうにですね取り残されたロシア人という言い方で、このいう民族問題を非常に危険な問題だっていうふうに認識して警告していたもう一人のインテレクチャルはソルジェニーツィンだったんですね。ソルジェニーツィンという人はソ連時代に収容所群島という有名な本を書いてノーベル文学賞を取った70年代に、そしてそれによってソ連共産党から非常に睨まれて、彼は亡命して西側に亡命することになってカナダとかにいたんですね。で、僕は少年時代に収容所群島を読んですごくショックを受けました。で70年代と僕は中学生ですけれども、大変こういうジャーナリズムに行こうと思う一つのきっかけになったんですけれども、なった本の一つなんですけれども、今度ソ連が崩壊した後he came back to USSR last year、で、大変な問題だと、悲劇だとロシアにとっては。なぜならばおよそ3000万人くらいのロシア人が各共和国に取り残されている。その一つがこのウクライナだと。あたりはカザフだとかアゼルバイジャンだとかいろんなところにいると。この人たちが非常に危うくなるだろうと言っていたんですね。で上手に引き上げることができたところもある。例えばアゼルバイジャンなんかはそんなに揉めずに今ロシア人が減ってってます。それは豊かさもあるんですね。アゼルバイジャンは石油が取れるんですよ。だからアルメニアなんかとは全然違う。同じようにウクライナが豊かだってよく言うのは、それは穀倉地帯があるっていうことや、まだ未開発の資源があるということで、でも豊かな資源があるところはこの東の方なんですね。だから東を取りたいという気持ちがあるんですけど、ここにロシア人が住んでる。だからこれは統一ロシア、それからアメリカがヨーロッパから見るとここまで全部統一ロシアじゃない、ごめんなさい、統一ウクライナにしたいと。でもそうはいかない。ここにいるロシア人が非常に邪魔になるっていうことがおよそ予測されていた、そういう予測していたロシア人にとっての悲劇が起こるというふうに予測していたインテリの一人がソルジェニーツィンだった。そして、そこまでロシア人について、同情はしてないけれどもこういう分断の悲劇が起こるということをハンチントンも見抜いていたということなんですね。OK, all right. Do you think
Solzhenitsyn?
Yeah. About you explain about.
Solzhenitsyn is famous in the West, in France also, but I'm not aware of something specific about Ukraine, but he would have said so. So I don't have anything to say about link between Solzhenitsyn and Ukraine, if I may say. So I don't have anything to say.
All right. OK、次行きましょう。そして これ、統一ウクライナを望む人は少数派だったということについて、実際に書かれている、ご本に書かれているのはこういうことです。Please explain this tema.
Yes, so actually this is information that I gathered when I made research for my book, because I wanted to explain, before talking about my experience, I wanted to explain to people the history of conflict in Donbass when I came. And actually I learned some things while doing this research that I didn't even know before. So this is like information extracted from the book, I recognize. But it just shows, generally speaking, that indeed there was a lot of confusion and disagreements in Ukraine. People were not satisfied, majority of people were not satisfied, 74%, considered the interim president illegitimate, that they felt something was wrong. It's funny because in the West, it was told to us that, oh, this is a revolution. So a revolution but with corrupted presidents, pro-Russian, so bad, who was kicked out by the people who wanted the end of corruption and who wanted democracy. This is like the caricature narrative that was presented in the West. And then when you read this, you realize, oh, this is not how the Ukrainian people themselves perceived the reality. So I thought it was interesting. And then you could see that in spite of the fact that people were dissatisfied with the way Ukraine was run, it doesn't mean that you had a majority that wanted to join Russia. I think it was important also to point out. But I think this percentages evolved as things went on. Initially, people were talking a lot about what is called federalization in Ukraine. Like they didn't want to create different countries, but they said, okay, let's have decentralization in Ukraine, or federalization, it's the same concept, so that we have autonomy in different regions. It's like the Russian-speaking people wanted to have more autonomy from the central power in Kiev, whom they perceived as hostile to their aspiration to speak Russian, for instance. So that was the idea, autonomy but not independence. But then the situation got radicalized. I explain also in my book why, because the Ukrainian government reacted very quick and strongly against demonstrators. So when you repress people, and you can create a reaction which is worse than what you repress, right? So it's escalation. So I think the reactions of the Ukrainian government trying to crush all dissent only fueled more dissent. And this is how the Donbass crisis emerged. And I understood it even better when I did the research for my book. It was even more clear. And I saw parts of that also when I was deployed there, especially in Mariupol, because I studied the history of Mariupol. I think it's important to understand. In the West, they were saying there was no insurrection in Donbass, it was Russian aggression. No. The reality on the ground is that it was mostly grassroots rebellion from Donbass people. Probably Russia gave them a help, but they didn't need to do much, because we have many people who were just very upset, and they felt their identity was challenged by the central power. They felt their president was kicked out by a coup d'etat. Right? This is what they thought, because Yanukovych is a man from Donetsk. Right? He used to be governor of Donetsk Oblast. So people in Donetsk Oblast were very upset that their representative, who was president, was kicked out like this. They felt humiliated also somehow. So that explains a lot. So anyways, the rest of the slide is self-explanatory, I think. So we can move on.
Alright. そして、ドンバス戦争がついに起こりました。そのプロセスというのは実は非常に詳しくこの本に書かれております。で、僕もここまで詳細に書かれたというのは他に知りません。どういうふうに内戦が起こっていくのかっていうことも分かりました。何年もと終わりが見えない戦争、ドンバス戦争を経て分離派の支配地域に住む多くのドンバス住民は、たとえ自治権が認められてもキエフの支配下に戻るにはあまりにも多くの血が流されたと考えるようになった。つまり最初はドンバスの人々は自治権を求めていたんだけれども、もうウクライナ政府と軍が大変な攻撃をするアタックをかけた。そしてジェノサイドが起こった。なのでもう自治、高度な自治だけれどもウクライナの国民であり続けるというのはこれはちょっと無理だと、そういうふうに変わってきたということですね。したがってロシア、ここにポロシェンコ大統領の顔が映っております。これはポロシェンコですけれども、please explain Donbas war. Yeah, no return to Kiev control.
Yes, I think it's self-explanatory. I don't have much to add, but just to say that this sentence here, I heard it from people in Donetsk Oblast. So it's not something I invented. Indeed, it goes back to what I said earlier. When you treat discontent with violence, you create more discontent. And you are not solving anything. You're just making things worse. And the Ukrainian government just made things worse. So they are responsible, in my view, for the whole situation. Yes, self-explanatory. Once the war started, there would be no going back, in a way. And by the way, maybe I can add one thing. This made me think when I read this about a documentary movie which is called On the Edge of the Abyss in English. This documentary is very long. It's in 4 parts.
What's the name documentary?
On the Edge of the Abyss. But the documentary is in Russian. It's about the Battle of Mariupol, seen from the eyes of combatants from Donetsk Oblast, who actually participate in the battle. It's a Somali battalion. A Somali battalion is one of the first battalions of the Donetsk People's Republic. So it's kind of a famous unit within the armed forces of Donetsk People's Republic. And you see this battalion on a daily basis as it is participating in the terrible Battle of Mariupol. And but it doesn't show not just the battle, but there's also many flashbacks, because the cameraman who follows them, he has been following this battalion for many years, and in many flashbacks he interviews the people from this battalion when they are somewhere on the front, and they ask themselves questions: why are the Ukrainians so keen to destroy us? Why do they continue to fight us? Why don't they give up? And they think, how many more years are we going to fight for our survival? It's very touching to hear these things, because you see there's no hate in them. There's no hatred in the statements that they have. They just ask questions: why the other people hate us so much? Why do they hate us so much that they want to destroy us? So and then you realize these are normal people, who just fight for their own survival, and they don't like it. And you have some people who say, instead of being in the trench, I would rather be with my family. I want to spend time with my children. And then some of the people who say that in the documentary, they die later. They die in Mariupol. It's dramatic. It's a tragic movie. So I recommend for people who can either understand Russian or English, because it's subtitles in English. I don't think it's subtitled in Japanese. I don't know, maybe. But the documentary is extraordinary to understand war and why these people were fighting. So it's one of the best documentaries to understand what the separatist people had in mind. And it fits with my experience of talking with them. There were so many nice and kind people that I met there. Yeah. So, yeah, I said there are so many nice people that I met on the separatist side. And I'm thinking, Ukrainian nationalists, they hate them. They would kill them if they could. And you realize that how can these people be so wrong? And the drama is that we in the West, we support these people, those who have hatred in their hearts, and who want to destroy normal people, because the Donbass people are normal people. Okay, maybe, I'm not saying 100% of them are good people. I guess you can find some who could be not so good people, because you never have in a given group perfection, right? But globally, you know, it's just normal people. It's I wanted to emphasize this idea that I see the separatist people as victims in this fight, and they had to fight for their own survival, and it was a very long war. Actually, in this documentary, you know, when they start the Battle of Mariupol, they don't say this is the first day of war since 24 February 2022. They say they count since 2014. So every day you have subtitles. It's like, I forgot how many, it's in thousands of days. Today is the 8,000th day of the war. Maybe it's not 8,000, but okay, you have 365 days in a year, so 8 years when you calculate 3 times 8, so okay, 2,500. Today is the 2,500th day of the war. And then you realize, damn, these people have been fighting for 8 years, and now it's 8 plus 4, 12 years. 12 years of war. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare for these Donbass people. It's like they know nothing else. And at some point you have even one guy is entrenched. He said, well, you know, when I took a weapon to defend our land, I thought it would be gone, finished in 2 months, that we would win and that Ukrainians would not bother us anymore. And then now it's only 1 year and a half and we're still fighting. I said, how can it be? And 1 year and a half only, he was already wondering. And then another guy says, okay, we've been fighting for 6, 7, 8 years. Maybe we'll be fighting for 10, 20 years. Maybe when will it end? And now it's 8 plus 4, 12 years. And the guy said, maybe it will be 20 years. And when you see everybody in Europe who wants only one thing, let's continue to fight. Let's fight till the last Ukrainian. But why? Why do you want so much to get rid of these separatist people? Why do you want so much to crush them down? What did they do to you? What did they do to people living in France, Germany, Spain, the United Kingdom? Why should we care about killing these people? What wrong did they do to us? And what wrong did they do even to Ukraine? Why can't Western Ukraine, you know, leave them be? You know, it's again so many questions which are very deep. We go to the humanity. What does it mean to wage war? Why you have so many people who want to push us for more war when it doesn't make any sense? When you're humanist, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say.
All right. そして、このまた5本からの続きですけれども、クリミアでもドネツクでも実は独立計画があった。 それがこの2014年のユーロマイダンクーデターで、その後虐殺があったり、ロシア語を公用語から外されたり、さまざまな差別や迫害や虐殺があったからではないんですね。それよりも前からあったと。でクリミアでは92年、つまり、ウクライナがですねソ連から独立して、それによってソ連崩壊する最初の引き金になるんですけれども、91年に崩壊しますが、それ以降繰り返して独立を求める運動が行われていました。で94年のブダペスト合意でこれはしかし葬り去られたと。で2005年にドネツク人民共和国創設計画が誕生していたと。これはもうこのことも私本当に知りませんでした。当時すでに住民投票を求める署名活動が行われていた。だから彼らの行動というのはですね、ずっとこのままではちょっとまずいなというふうにロシア語話者は思っていたということなんですね。これについてまた説明してもらいましょう。Please explain both Crimea and Donetsk had independence plans.
Right. So actually, Crimea story is pretty long. Actually, it's funny because I talk about this in both of my books. This book, but also the other one, because I explained it in detail in an article I published. And this hardly anybody knows. But I think I already mentioned it before when we talked together. I said that for me, the Budapest Memorandum signed in 1994, the origin of it is based on the crisis in Crimea. Because Crimea wanted independence, and initially there was a first agreement signed by Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Belarus, and Russia, that these three former republics would give to Russia all their nuclear weapons. I mean, not their nuclear weapons, but the nuclear weapons deployed on their soil. That was the agreement. But then Ukraine came up with a new request. They said, no, we don't agree anymore. We want guarantees that from Russia and the United States that we will have that Russia will not change the borders of Ukraine. Right? But they thought about Crimea. So there were negotiations, and in the end they agreed, okay, let's sign the Budapest Memorandum. And then also it was December, as I recall, this agreement. So Ukraine had already crushed the independence movement in Crimea. It's a pretty long story, so I would recommend people to read it rather than to explain everything. And but it lasted until even 95. 95 was the last moment, because then in 95, as I recall, the Ukrainian government decided to cancel the Crimean constitution, because they had their own constitution. So the Kiev parliament cancelled it, and they also closed down the position of president of Crimea, because Crimea had created that position. So they suppressed it, and then they just told Crimea, okay, we'll give you status of autonomy, and that's the best you can get, so that's it. And so Crimea inside Ukraine has a special autonomy status. It was different than any other territory, but it was still part of Ukraine. So that's the story behind Budapest Memorandum. And by the way, now that Russia actually intervened in the Ukraine, people say, and even now is, you could say, annexing or recuperating territories that it now considers Russian. So people who are critics of Russia say Russia is violating the Budapest Memorandum, in which they signed to guarantee Ukrainians' territorial integrity. But the answer Russia has about that is that the Budapest Memorandum is not a treaty, so it doesn't have legal power. It's not like an international law. It's just a political declaration. So that's one argument. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just saying what they say. And then they also say that, anyways, the first country that violated the Budapest Memorandum is not Russia, but it's the United States by supporting a coup d'etat. So by supporting a coup d'etat, they say that the United States basically did not respect the territorial integrity of Ukraine, right? So they say, okay, the USA first broke the Budapest Memorandum, so we are just following, because now it doesn't exist anymore. So that's little precision. Now, apart from that, yes, I also found out, I didn't know that, it was when I did research, it's very little known, that you had plans for Donetsk People's Republic already in 2005 during the Orange Revolution.
Orange Revolution.
Yeah, it was in those days. So you already had a strong feeling of identity of people in Donetsk in those days. Because it was the same president, Yanukovych, who was running for president at that time. So for those who don't know, I can say 2004 there was presidential elections. Yanukovych against Yushchenko. So pro-Russian president against very pro-Western president. And again, go back to the map that we saw, very divided votes from East and West. But at the end of the second round, just two-round election, there are allegations that there were a lot of cheating in favor of Yanukovych. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know. I was not there. Some people say there was cheating. But what I read when I did my research about it is that the Americans had heavily supported Yushchenko during the campaign, and they even had briefed him lengthily, and all his campaign people. They gave him a lot of money, and they had prepared a plan to react in case Yanukovych would win. And they had a plan ready to challenge the election results, to say that actually, if you look at the polls from election day, out of voting polls, like when people come out of a polling station, you ask them, whom did you vote for? And this is supposed to be very precise, because it's after people have voted. And they say, according to not out of country, but after polling polls, Yushchenko should have won. But the way it's worded, even on Wikipedia, it's very ambiguous, because you have a feeling, is it true or is it what they claim? It's not clear. I couldn't figure out while reading where these sources available. And then I went to even the newspaper article that mentioned it. Is still not clear what they mean. But anyways, it shows that there was people from Donetsk Oblast were upset because then candidate has to run again. And in the second time he got beaten, because I guess people in Ukraine thought, so Yanukovych cheated, so we're not going to vote for him. But then I was told by people who were OSCE people who were observing elections in 2010, I was told people who were there who said it was like clean elections. No contest, you cannot contest it. 2010 election was clean. But 2004, okay, there's room for doubt, let's say. But there's also room for doubt as to what the Americans claimed on their hands. I don't know. And then at the time, secretary campaigns meaning referendum were already underway. Yeah, also something I found out. So the idea for independence of Donbass was not completely new. It had a little history starting from 2005. That's what I wanted to say. And Crimea, it was even before. Once there was a colleague of mine in OSCE. He was a very intelligent guy, very educated. He told me, he sent me a memo written by a scholar who said, we should not grant independence to territories that do not have a history of requesting independence. And he was commenting that, Donbass, it just happened. they don't have a history of asking for independence, so why should we give them independence? That was the argument. But actually I discovered, no, they have a history. It started like 9 years before. It's not insignificant. It's not like yesterday, you know. They already had something, and in Crimea it's even more. So the argument that they had no history of request for independence in those regions is not true. And so, but you see, Western people, they are ready to, you know, find pretexts, not to grant, not to obey or to grant the wishes of people they don't like. I understood that. So, and the people they don't like, it's the Russian people or the Serbian people, Orthodox people. And I find it shocking, because I'm very familiar also with dissolution of the ex-Yugoslavia. I mean, when I started to work with OSCE, it was in ex-Yugoslavia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Northern Macedonia, and I went to Serbia many times, Kosovo. Mm-hmm. All of this is the breaking of ex-Yugoslavia. The only people to whom we say, oh, they can become independent, it's Albanians. Actually, the others, it was different thing like Bosnia and Croatia, because inside Yugoslavia they already had clear borders, if I may say. Where it was problematic is inside Bosnia. But then Kosovo was supposed to be part of Serbia. It was not an independent republic inside Yugoslavia. So, you know, it's maybe too technical for some people, all of this, but anyways, these debates about to whom we should grant independence or not, I think in the West they are biased. And I think this since the days of dissolution of ex-Yugoslavia. We were biased against the Serbs because we said the Serbs cannot be independent in Bosnia-Herzegovina, but Kosovo Albanians they can be. Why? And then they say, oh, because the Serbs don't respect human rights. Okay, do Albanians respect human rights? I mean, how many Serbian people they killed after NATO intervened? It's more than 1,000. I even had the list with all the names, 1,300, I think. It's just 1 year, as I recall. When I visited a monastery in Kosovo, you could find the list by name and date of when all the people were killed after NATO intervened, all Serb people. How many people know about this in the Western world? Hardly anybody. If I had not been there myself, I wouldn't know. Yeah, it is the big problem of the West is that it is heavily biased, and you know, I'm very sorry about it because I'm from a Western country. I'm ashamed. Oh, sorry. I'm ashamed.
Noise.
Yeah, I know.
Noise. Sorry.
I'm ashamed. You know, it's funny because in the West, you know, when we say I, we say this. Nihon ni is this. So, okay, parentheses. So anyways, I know even, I mean, now it's even worse than before. Western people are in this anti-Russia, you know, obsession. I'm not saying the regular people. It's the people of the elite who spread the propaganda, and some people believe it. That's drama. On X, I see so many people. I mean, they're small accounts, small people. They spread a lot of. I mean, they are convinced Russia is the biggest evil on earth. They're convinced about it because they only listen to mainstream media, and they think, oh yes, Russia wants war with us. They are convinced about it. It's pretty sure. I'm sure about it because they watch mainstream media, who keeps them every day, 24 hours a day these days. Russia is the enemy. Russia wants to attack us. So we have to defend ourselves. And so we have to attack first. Preemptive strike. This is the madness of Europe. Okay, but I diverted from this.
Alright. クリミアのですね、ロシアの編入というのが2014年、このユーロマイダンクーデターが起こるわけですね。西側諸国はセルビア人によるラジャクの虐殺事件というのを介入のために仕組んだと セルビアでもウクライナでも虐殺は介入の口実として、利用されている。今セルビアの話もしていただきました。2014年3月16日の住民投票でクリミアはロシアに編入されたと。これを受けて3月21日 OSCE 内加わっていた OSCE 内でウクライナ特別監視ミッション SMMU が発足したということですね。お話しいただいていたことを一言付け加えるとすると、ロシアの言われなき侵略という言葉に込められている中にはですね、現在のウクライナの形の中にこの東部にいる人たちの意思というものは関係のないものだと。その人たちは何の意思も持ってないと。何の意思も持ってないところにロシアがこの侵略をしたんだと、こういうことが含まれているわけです。ところが民族というのはその民族の中に前の回で言いましたマトリョーシカのように別の民族が入っていたりするわけですね。でいわばそのウクライナ現在のウクライナの形の中にロシア人たちが3分の1ぐらいいる、そういうふうなマトリョーシカになっている。その人たちが自発的な意思を持ってちょっともうウクライナから離れたいなという思いを持っていた。それに対してロシア共和国側はですね、イエスじゃあ俺たちが助けてやろうということは全然言わないできたんですよ。そして2014年のユーロマイダンが起こっても「Please help me」というふうにドンバスの人たちが言ってもですね、プーチンはニエと軍を出さなかったんですね。軍を出してくださいと言われてもやらなかった。8年間も我慢してたんですね。で結局のところ砲撃とかをずっとやってましたけれども、攻撃がものすごくなった、エスカレートしたところで、これはご本にも書かれてますけれども、攻撃がエスカレートしたところでこれは危ないぞ、ロシア軍が入ってくるかもしれないというふうに予期していたところに実際に入ってきたということになったんですね。早い話が誘発したわけです。すごく攻撃的なこのプーチンがですね入ってきたっていうふうには西側ではプロパガンダ化されてますけれども、ずっとこのままでは俺たちどうなんだろうというふうに住民は思っていたんです。それが90年代2000年代2010年代にそして2020年代の頭になるまで実際には分離独立もできず攻撃をされ、そしてプーチンたちがもうしょうがない武力介入するしかないというところに至るまでこういう厳しい状況に置かれていた。少なくとも8年間は置かれていたと。それにプラス3年半ですか、だから12年ですね、ドンバスの人々は攻撃を受けていたということになります。で話は次の方に入りますけれども、この SMMU というのが発足します。Please explain this SMMU.
Yes, it's a special monitoring mission in Ukraine. That's the name of the OSCE mission deployed from the 16th of March, 2014. No, actually 21st of March, after the referendum in Crimea. Now, also here it's talked about the false flag. I think we can say that in Ratchak, false flag attack in Ratchak. What happened there? According to the evidence that are available, most likely, as I understand, and not only me but many people understand that, in Ratchak the Serbian armed forces had a fight with UÇK fighters. UÇK was Serbians consider them terrorists, but that was the insurrection armed movement in Kosovo, which was, many people say, helped funded by America and UK, United Kingdom. Actually, you have also some evidence of that in other sources. Now, you say Western nations orchestrated the Serbian massacre. I wouldn't necessarily say Western nations. My understanding is that it's Anglo-Saxons. So the United States and United Kingdom. Also because I had a colleague when I was in Ukraine who worked in that mission. It was OSCE mission already in Kosovo. It was called Kosovo Verification Mission, KVM. And he told me I was working in Kosovo, and Racak was in my area of responsibility. And when we got news of a so-called massacre, he said I wanted to go. But he said my boss, who was British, forbid him to go. He said, no, you will not go. So what do you mean? It's my area of responsibility. No, you will not go on this. So I thought it was really strange. And but I believe it was Brits and Americans who orchestrated this. And then the head of the mission was American. And he said, oh, we have the pretext to bomb Serbia. Because in those days there was an ultimatum on Serbia. Serbia was supposed not to cause any violence during a certain period, otherwise it will be bombed. I don't forget the exact terms, but not to kill civilians or something like that. Okay, so maybe they didn't kill civilians, but what they call terrorists. Oh, but then the bodies were stripped from their clothes, and they put civilian clothes on them and say, oh, they are civilians. Apparently that's the story. And there's a lot of, side story. Even on Wikipedia, when you read it, you see something's wrong, like the official autopsy was like, the report was never published. Even people who participated in it, they resigned. Then it was very strange. I don't remember all the details, but I would advise people to check if you're interested. It's very fishy, this issue of Racak. And you can see it was like 99%, I'm 99% sure this was a false flag attack to frame Serbia to allow NATO to bomb them. But I don't think my own country, France, I don't think we were in the loop at that time. But the problem is that even if we were in the loop, we followed. And like all the other European countries, because America, always followed by the UK, they show the way, right, all the time in NATO. This is how it works. America leads, and then everybody follows. And so that's a problem that I saw, in the way in my country was behaving in those things. But I find it hard to believe, maybe I'm naive, that in those days we were involved in such manipulations from the start. I think we were then put probably in front of fait accompli, but you cannot challenge America, So you have to go with the flow, and you keep your mouth shut. Anyways, what else? Crimea was incorporated in Russia, yes. That's it. Created on March 21, and this is because of that I went to Ukraine.
というわけでですね、これからまさに監視団、として、パレさんもですね、いろいろOSC が動いていく、そしてパレさんもですね加わって、いろいろな状況というのを見ていくで、具体的な話になっていくんですけど、ここから先はですね、もう時間が来ましたので、次回のインタビューから詳しくその情勢分析を行っていきたいというふうに思っています。で、こういうそのことが続けられるかどうかというのは、大変今厳しい状況にあります。IWJ はですね、ちょっと、創業以来の厳しい状況にあると言っても過言ではありません。8月から第16期を迎えたわけですけれども、今年の8月ですね、4ヶ月連続で、合寄付の目標額が未達になっています。ピンチ、大変ピンチです。で、特定のスポンサーをつけるとですね、どうなるかというと、世の中の、なんて言うんでしょう、大多数に迎合したようなプロパガンダに沿ってですね、真実伝えられなくなってしまうんですね。ですからスポンサーの意向に作用されない市民にとって重要なニュースを本当に事実に基づいたファクトに基づいた真実、トゥルースというものを届けなきゃいけないという独立したメディア、独立した市民メディアというのは、皆様個々人の 会員費とそれからご寄付によって、支えられないとこれは難しいんですね。ぜひ会員登録とそれからご寄付カンパでのご支援をお願いしたいというふうに思っております。それからお振込先はこちらの方です。ぜひ、お願いしたいと思います。なお IWJ の会員登録最近でサブスタックなんていう言い方しますけれどもね、とか YouTube チャンネルの登録いいね高評価をぜひお願いしたいと思います。 IWJ は創業以来の危機に直面していますので、ぜひ、市民の皆様の緊急のご支援をお待ちしております。会員登録はこちら、ご寄付カンパクレジットカード決済はこちらからになります。ぜひよろしくお願いしたいと思います。ということでパレさん、本当にどうもありがとうございました。 Thank you very much。
ありがとうございます。
ぜひこのお話をですね、引き続き続けてやっていきたいと思います。Please explain your book and your story.
Now?
No. Next time.
Okay.
Next time.
Okay. Next time.
Next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And see you again.
はい。Thank you very much for your invitation.
どうも皆さんありがとうございました。